what we will do today in this lecture, and in the next lecture, we're going to look at the same thing, but two different ways. We will see how to understand, we will try to understand the way consumers make choices. So, do you remember what we discussed in the first lecture? When you go shopping, can you buy everything you want? No. Why? Exactly. So your resources are limited. So you don't have enough money to buy everything you want. So in this lecture, we will try to understand more how we analyze this and how we could make some prediction or could expect your consumers' behavior or what you're going to do if or in different situations. But as a consumer, what I'm looking forward to have is to maximize my satisfaction given the resources I have. So I want to be happy. I want to maximize my happiness or my satisfaction, or was as you're gonna see, what we call it utility. So, okay, there's a problem with the mic. So, what I want you, or the way I want you to think about this, is very simple way. So you always compare. You have two sides of this equation of maximizing your happiness or your satisfaction. So you need to compare what you want with what you can. So these are two different things. So when I ask you what you want, you want everything. You want everything, yeah? But when it comes to what you can, then you start looking in your pocket and your wallet, how much I have, yeah? So these are two different things, and we need to understand this. If you want to understand the way consumers make decisions, then you need to understand all of this. You keep this in mind, okay? And I think every one of us does the same, but what we're going to do now is just going to do this in using economic terms and different theories. So the first lecture, we will assume that we can measure our satisfaction, which we're going to call utility. So we're going to measure it in units. And then based on that, we're going to see how to maximize this satisfaction, okay, or this utility. In the next lecture, we're going to see how we do this in a different way. But again, in both lectures, what you need to think of, what you need to keep in mind is always what you want and what you can. These are two different things. And to maximize your satisfaction or to make the most of the resources you have, you need to you see, I told you I shouldn't use that. Okay. So I think it's okay now. Okay. So I don't trust this mic. I don't even understand what happened. Okay. Okay, so as I said, we're always going to look at what we want and what we can. And we compare these together, we put these together in the picture, then we come to the point to understand how to maximize our satisfaction or utility. So now let's just go back to the first point or the first part in this lecture, which, as I said, when we make choices, there are different determinants or different factors that influence this decision or this choice. And as economists, we summarize these into two things, or the same thing that I said now, is what you can and what you want. So what you can is consumption possibilities, that's what you can do. And what you want, this is your preference. That's what you like and what you dislike. So to make a choice, to decide how many units to buy from any product, then you unintentionally do that. So that's what you do. So you look, as I said, if I ask you what you want everything. If I ask you what you can, then you start looking in your pocket and just searching your wallet how much you can pay for this or how much you can afford. So these are two different things. So what we're going to look first is what you can. And then we're going to move to what you want. Then we're going to put both in the picture and see that's how you maximize your satisfaction. That's how you make the most of your resources as a consumer. So today, all the day, this lecture, the next lecture, we're gonna think as consumers, as buyers, not producers. Okay. So the first thing we said, we were looking at consumption possibilities, and what you can is determined by two things: your income, that's the money in your wallet or in your bank account, and the prices of the products you're buying. Okay, so that will determine your consumption possibilities. That's what you can. Okay, so that's why you can afford. So let's now, we'll have an example. Lisa will be with us this lecture and the next lecture. So she's buying two goods, just to simplify things. So she's spending her income on buying movies and soda. So let's see what she can. What you can, this is your budget line. That's what you can. So let's see how we show this between soda and movies. So let's say these are the she has £40, that's her income, and the price of movies is $8, and the price for soda is $4. So what are the possibilities here? Well, she's spending this income, she's allocating this income between two products here, movies and soda. Okay, so she has the choice now. She can make choices. She can say, well, I could actually buy no movies. I'm just gonna spend the $40 I've got on soda. So how much she will get? So she has $40 in her pocket, and the price of soda is $4. So the maximum she can get, you see, we're looking at how much she can afford now. So the maximum she can get is 10 cases per month. That's because her income is 40 and the price of soda is $4. So that's the maximum she can get. So if she make the choice, or one of the possibilities she has here is to have no movies, to watch no movies, and to spend all her income on buying soda. On this, you will see, we can say this in a different way by looking at the graph. You'll see on the vertical axis here, we measure the units of soda, and on the horizontal axis, we measure the units or the movies, how many movies she watched. So point A, that's one of the possibilities she has now. So point A here on the vertical axis means that she has 0 movies, and she will buy 10 sodas. Okay. Well, there are other possibilities as well. Yes. $10. She has $40. That's her budget, and she's buying soda for $4 each. So she will buy. The maximum she can get is 10. So 40 divided by 4, that's 10 units. That's 10 cases per month. That's the maximum she can buy. She can't buy more than 10. As I said, what you afford is limited, is determined by the prices and the income and the money in your wallet. Okay, so that's why she can't afford more than 10 units. So as I said, point A here is just one possibility. Okay, so there are many possibilities. The way she can allocate this income between two products, soda and movies here, she could have actually, or she has more choices. For example, well, she can decide to watch one movie. This will cost her $8. Then remember, her income is $40. Then if she spend or if she buy one movie, then she has $32 to spend on soda. And in that case, she will have 8 soda cases. Okay, so now she spent all her income. She spent the £40. So that is, again, I'm not saying that's what she's gonna do. I'm saying that's what she can do. These are the choices. These are the possibilities, the consumption possibilities she has. Okay? Or, so you see now point B, point C, she can actually buy more movies. So if she buy 2 movies, now she's spending $16 on movies, and then what remains, she will spend this on soda, and then she will get 6 cases per month. Okay, so this point C here is another possibility. Remember, we're trying to find or to understand. We're trying to find out or to understand how Lisa will maximize her happiness, satisfaction, or what we're gonna call in a minute utility. Okay, so how she gonna make the most of this $40 in her pocket? Okay, if she spend these $40 between movies and soda. So again, this is another possibility here. She could actually buy 3 movies and 4 soda, and this she will spend all her income. Remember, soda here is $4 each, and the movies are $8 each. There's point E and point F. So at point F here, what we have, so she decided to spend all her income on watching movies. She loves movies, for example. I mean, this is not what she's gonna do. I didn't say that. I'm saying that's what she can do. They are 2 different things. So let's say she has the choice. She can make that choice to watch movies, to spend all her income on watching movies or buying movies. And in that case, the maximum she can get in a month, because she spent or she received only $40. Remember, what's the price of movies? It's $8, yeah. So if you got $40 in your pocket and you want to buy something for $8, the maximum you can get here is that's 5 units. Okay. So now, if we want to generalize this for everything, or for any 2 products, then she could actually, we could have what we call the budget line. So the budget line here, you see, this connects all combinations of these 2 goods that would cost you the same. So any point here will cost her $40. So A, B, C, D, E, F, any point on that line will cost her the same. So it will cost her all her income, so she can afford these points. So that means any points on that line or below that line is affordable. It's a combination of movies and soda that she can afford, she can buy. Okay, what about, remember, before we just move to the next point, is remember, this is subject to her income and the prices. So if these change, if any of these change, her income or the prices, then the budget line would change. It would be affected with it. It has to translate this change. So now we agree on any point below that line is affordable, and even on the line is affordable. But the difference is on the line, on this budget line, she spent all her income. Any point below that, it is affordable, she can do it, but that means she's not spending the $40. So she's spending less than $40. So, but it's still affordable. The point is here, what is about the point above that line? That's why it's a budget line. So she can't afford any point above that line. So let's say, for example, remember, if she decides to buy or to devote all her income to buy soda, she will get 10. Why? Because she received $40. She spent this on soda, and the soda price is $4. Then she can get 10. So the question here, can she buy 12 sodas? Is it possible for her to buy 12 or 15 sodas? Simply she can't, yeah, because her income wouldn't allow her to do that. The income and the price of soda wouldn't allow her to do that. So that's why I'm telling you, any point above this line, now we agree on that, so any point above this line is not affordable, is not attainable. She can't go there. She can't afford this. She can't buy this combination of soda and movies. Okay? So now let's go to the other side, what you like and what you dislike. So remember, the budget line here Summarize what you can. Okay, now we're moving to think of what you want. So in economic terms, we would say that's your preference. Okay, which again is what you like and what you dislike. So this will depend on the benefits or the satisfaction or the happiness you will feel from consuming these goods, movies and soda in this example, or you could generalize this to any other goods. And in economics, we call this utility. And in this lecture, we'll assume that we can measure this utility. So if I ask you, if you drank a bottle of water, how much or how many units of utility this will give you, you should be able to tell me. I'm not going to ask you, but I'm saying let's assume that you can. Okay, so we'll give it some numbers, just in a way to understand how Lisa will make a choice, how she will decide at the end how many sodas, how many movies she will watch, and how many sodas she will buy. Okay, so what we're looking at here as a consumer, you're looking at the total utility. Okay, so the total utility is the utility you will have from consuming, let's say, whatever like number, how many units from any product. So let's say if she watched 5 movies or 4 movies, how much utility this, or how much satisfaction, happiness, how many units of utility this will give her. So that's we're looking at the total utility. So this is the total benefit or the total satisfaction or happiness a person gets from the consumption of goods. And remember, we will assume that you can measure it. Of course, it's a very difficult thing to assume, but let's say we can. And we'll look at some example. But the general rule here, or the general thing that we would agree on together now, is that the more you have or the more you consume, then this will give you high utility or more utility as its in total. So the total utility will increase. Okay. So let's look at an example. So in this example now, we assume that we can measure the total utility from consuming these 2 goods. So we have the same example with Lisa, and what we're looking at here is the total utility. So if she consumed nothing, no movies, no soda, then the total utility, 0 for movies, 0 for soda. If you watch 1 movie, then she has 50. So let's think of 50 here as a measure of utility, measure of your happiness, your satisfaction. Okay, so the total utility in this case is 50. If you watch 2 movies, then the total utility is 90. So the more movies you watch, then she will receive higher or more total utility. So in total, you will be happier. That's what it should tell you. So the total utility is increasing the more you consume from this good. The same thing applies to soda. So what you should take from this schedule here, the total utility schedule, is that you see as consumption increases, total utility increases too. Okay? So you'll see the same with the same case with movies and soda. Yes? Any question? Okay. I thought somebody wanted to ask a question. Okay, so that's the idea here. So the total utility here increases when you increase your consumption of movies and soda. But the question now, how much each unit you will increase or you consume will contribute to this total utility? Remember, in the first lecture, we said we usually think at the margin. So 1 more unit. Remember the example we talked about in the first lecture when you allocate your the 4 hours you have after uni day, like you're going back home, you've got 4 hours, and you want to think how many hours to devote to study and how many hours to hang out with friends before you go to bed again to go to university next day. So we said, so it's not about yes or no, it's about like, what if I increase my study time by 1 hour? So we always think at the margin. The same thing with utility here. So we understand that total utility increases when you increase your consumption. So the more you consume, the higher the total utility will be. But the question is now, how much each unit you will increase here, or the extra unit you will increase, will contribute to the total utility. That is the marginal utility. So the marginal utility here is the change in total utility that results from unit increase in the quantity of the good consumed. So when you consume one extra unit. So when she has one more movie, when she watches one more movie. So that extra movie, how much it contributed to the total utility, that is the marginal utility. So that is the utility from watching that one extra unit or one extra movie. And that's what we're going to look at now. So the difference is, we said the more you consume, the total utility will increase. But here, with marginal utility, it will decrease. And that's what we call diminishing, or the principle of diminishing marginal utility. So just think of when you drink water, if you're very thirsty. Okay? So I offer you 3 glasses of water. So the first one you had, that gives you some satisfaction, some happiness. You're very thirsty. So the second one, well, you're happier now because your total utility increased, your total satisfaction increased. But how much the second one contributed to this will be less than the first one. So you needed the first one more because that you were very thirsty. So the contribution, the first one is more than the second one. So if I give you a third glass of water, the third one. So in total, well, that's fine. You're happier now. You were thirsty. You got more water. But the third one, is it gonna contribute to your satisfaction, to your happiness as the second one or the first one? No. So it will be decreasing. That's the idea of the principle of diminishing marginal utility. So the total utility, which is the satisfaction you obtain or you get from the 3 units or the 3 glasses of water, or from 2, you're happier than 1. From 3, you're happier than 2. But again, how much the last one or the extra one contributed to this will be less than the one before. So let's see this as an example here. As you can see here, we have the same example for Lisa, and just what we're looking at here is the same table we have before. This is the total utility schedule. What we have is, for example, if Lisa watched one movie, or if she watched no movies, so she has no movies, then the total utility from watching movies is 0. So 0, 0. So 0 units, 0 satisfaction, or 0 utility. Then if she watch one movie, how much is the utility here? It's 50. So if she increase her consumption from movies by 1, so she buy another one extra movie, one more movie. So that means now she watching 2 movies. So in total, that's the total utility. She received 90. So that's the 90 units of utility. So now she's happier than just one movie. But what about the second one itself? You remember how much the first one, how much utility the first one gave her? It gave her 50 units, but the second one gave her, only the second one gave her 40. Because the first one 50, both together 90, so that means the second one is 40. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, that's why I said. So it's very difficult thing to say because it's going to be different from one person to another. And as I said, the importance of this kind of analysis is to show us or to help us to understand how consumers make their choices. But again, as you said, it is very difficult to say this is 50 units of utility. It's like when you think of temperature, it's just something, again, like you could have 2 persons in the same room. One of them, let's say, it's very cold. Someone say, oh, it's fine, actually. It's not that cold. So again, utility is the same thing. So if I give you the same 3 bottles of water, you might not be even thirsty. You say, I don't really actually. So the satisfaction in that case is much less compared to somebody who's thirsty. So again, it's going to be different from one to another. But for now, let's assume that we can. Okay. So as I said now, so the marginal utility now is the contribution of this this second movie to the total utility will be 40. So in that case, you'll see that third column, it just tells you the marginal utility. So how we calculate the marginal utility is the change in the total utility. So the total utility was 50 and then became 90 when we watch one more movie. That means the contribution here, or the change, is 40. So the marginal utility of consuming one more, or the second movie, is 40. So you can do this for all units, and this will give you the marginal utility. So for example, if we look at the third one, the third movie. So the three movies together will give you total utility 122. Yeah. But what about the third movie? So it's the change in the total utility. So the total utility before the third movie was 90. And after the third movie became 122. Do you see these numbers? So the change here tells you the marginal utility, which means that's the contribution of the third unit, or the third movie. Okay? So if you understand this, if you understand what the marginal utility means, that's the whole idea here. So we understand that the total utility increases when you increase your consumption, but the marginal utility will decrease when you increase your consumption. Remember, that's the principle of diminishing marginal utility. So what you see now is the total utility. So it's the same from this table. If you look at the total utility, what we're going to do, we just represent this in a graph. So this will show you the total utility curve. So what we have on the horizontal axis, this is the quantity she consumed from soda. And the total utility on the vertical axis. So you'll see the total utility is increasing, but the marginal, which is the contribution of each unit she consumed, is decreasing. So that's what you can see here. So you see, this is the contribution. So every time it is smaller than before. So if I go back to the schedule here, or this table, you will see this. What's happening with the marginal utility? So here 75 for soda, 75, 48, 36, and it's decreasing. Okay, the more she consumes from soda, the marginal utility decreases. So and if you look at the total utility increases. Okay, so that's the idea. We could actually plot this in a separate graph. We'll show you how the marginal utility is decreasing. So again, this is just what we show in the table. Is this clear? Okay. So now the question is, remember, this utility is what you want. This is your preference. What you can is the budget line. So now we want to understand how you make a choice. What you're keen to have, what you're looking forward to have as a consumer or as a buyer, you want to maximize your total utility. So given your income, so this is given what you can. So this is subject to what you can afford. Given your income and the prices of these two goods, which means given the budget line. That's what we represent by budget line. Okay? So now the question is, can she buy 10 soda and 10 movies, and that way she will get the maximum utility ever she can have? Why not? She can't afford it. Yes, she received only $40. She can't afford both. So remember, the price of movies is $8. The price of sodas is $4. That means if she gonna buy 10 each, that should cost her 80 plus 40, that's $120 in the time that she received only $40. So she got in her pocket only $40. She can't buy something for $120. So that's why she needs to make a choice. She needs to decide how much movies, or how many movies, and how many sodas. Okay, so she has to make that decision. And this decision is subject to her preferences. So again, the preferences we measure by utility in this lecture. And we assume that we are able to measure it. Okay? In that way, give it units, measure it in units of utility. Okay. So the question now, how she would make that decision? Again, she will be looking for that combination of soda and movies that maximizes her total utility from consuming these two together, these two goods together. So basically, we need to look at the just affordable combinations. These are the points on the budget line. And then find which one of those combinations that will give us the maximum total utility. Okay? So let's go back to our example again. We understand now what she can afford. Remember, A, B, C, D, E, F. These are the points she can afford. That's what we show in the budget line in the first or the second slide. Okay? So she could either buy 0 movies and 10 sodas. And in that case, that's point A. And in that case, well, she spent all $40. That's what all the income she has in her pocket, and she can make it. So that's affordable point. So the question now, is this what she should do? This will depend on whether this is the combination that give maximum utility or not, because we're looking at the total utility. Is this going to maximize her total utility or not? That is the main question. So let's look at the total utility. Sorry. So let's look at the total utility in this case. So the total utility will be the utility she has from consuming movies and sodas. Remember, that's why she can consume both movies and sodas. That's the combination here. So if you look at point B, for example, so point B show you she has 1 unit, 1 movie, and 8 sodas. So she has the total utility from movies is 50. The total utility from soda is 248. Then the overall total utility from both, so consuming movie and soda, is just you add these together. So that is 298. So what we need to do here is to calculate the total utility for all possible combinations, for all just affordable combinations. These are the points on the budget line, you remember? That's the maximum she can buy. So if you look at all these and see how much is the total utility, then we can decide which combination she should buy, which in this case, we're gonna be looking at the combination that will maximize her total utility. Okay? Her total satisfaction, total happiness, make her happy, like the most one. So in that case, if these are the utility, the total utility she will have from consuming these different combinations, so which combination would give her the maximum utility, total utility? C. Why C? Because in that case, she will receive 315. So that's how she's gonna make the most. Remember, all these points are affordable, are just affordable, which means they are on the budget line. Okay, so she can buy them. Now her choices are limited. She's actually looking or comparing between these points. If she comparing between these, then she will decide based on the total utility. And the point or the combination that gives her the maximum total utility here is C. And in that case, the total utility will be 315. So this combination is that she should watch 2 movies and buy 6 soda cases. Okay, so she will buy 6 cases and then and watch 2 movies per month. In that case, she'll spend all her income, $40. The price of movie is $8. The price for soda is $4, and then that means she's at some point on her budget line. So that's the just affordable combination. Okay? She can't buy more than that, or she shouldn't buy less than that if she wants to maximize her utility or her satisfaction. Any question? So you see, that's the idea from looking at the total utility, or how we would make a choice based on the total utility. And that total utility here reflects your preference. Remember, we have what you want, and the just affordable combination looking at what you can. We could actually reach the same conclusion by looking at the marginal utility. If you remember, we already defined the marginal utility. So that's the increase in total utility that results from consuming one more good. But we could look at the marginal utility per dollar, which means that's the marginal utility from a good that results from spending one more dollar. So when you spend one more dollar, how this gonna change the marginal utility? And we can follow the marginal utility rule. So let's say what we're looking at here is, let's say the marginal utility is MU and the price is P. So for movies, that's M. For soda, that's S. So what she's gonna be trying to do here, she's gonna be trying to do this. So that is the marginal utility per dollar. That's the first part here for movies. And that's the marginal utility per dollar for soda. And that is where she maximizes her utility. So remember, rather than looking at the table here and try to find the point or the combination that will maximize her total utility. So the marginal utility rule is very simple. You look at the marginal utility per dollar, and we want to find that combination that make these two equal. The marginal utility per dollar for the two goods, which is in our which are in our example here is our movies and soda. Okay, so let's see the example here. Remember, this is her budget line. That's what we looked at in the second slide, maybe. So we know what she can, given her income and the prices of the price of movies and price of soda. So let's see now this example. Point B. Is this point, or does this point maximize her utility, or this is where her equilibrium is? So remember the equilibrium here. When I talk about her equilibrium or consumer equilibrium, I mean the point at which they maximize their total utility. They are the happiest. They like make them the happiest. That's the happy, like the most happy point or combination. They make them satisfied. So that's the idea. So given the resources they have, which is in this example her income, the $40. So given the $40 and the prices of soda and movies, so we're looking at this point. So let's look at point B. At point B, the marginal utility is 50. That's from the other table. We know that. What about the marginal utility per dollar? 6.25. Where does this come from? How did you get this number? Can anyone tell me? That's the marginal utility per dollar. Let me go back. What's the marginal utility per dollar? Exactly. So it's the marginal utility divided by the price. Okay, so let's go back to this again. So what's the marginal utility per dollar here? Is the marginal utility. Where's the marginal utility? Is given here, 50. What's the price of movie? 8. So 50 divided by 8. That gives you the marginal utility per dollar. So here, 6.25 is the marginal utility per dollar. So you divide the marginal utility by the price. Okay? So the question now, so the same here for soda. We have the marginal utility per dollar for soda is 2.5. Are these equal? 6.25 and 2.5. So that's the marginal utility per dollar for movies. That's the marginal utility per dollar for soda. Are they equal? They are not. So that means this is not the point. So this is not what she should buy. I know this is affordable. She can buy point B. She can buy this combination, but this combination doesn't maximize her utility. So let's look at, and at this point you'll see the marginal utility per dollar for movies is greater than the marginal utility per dollar for soda. So 6.25 is greater than 2.5. So let's look at another combination here. So let's say D. That's another combination. So she has 3 units of movies and 4 units of soda, and the marginal utility is 32 for movies and 24 for soda. But we look at the marginal utility? No, we look at the marginal utility per dollar. So this means you divide the marginal utility by the price. So if we divide this 32 divided by 8, which is the price of movie, so 32 here is the marginal utility for movies, divided for the third unit here, or the third movie, divided by 8, which is the price of movie, that gives us 4. So 4 here is the marginal utility per dollar. Looking at the marginal utility per dollar for soda, it is 6. So that means the marginal utility per dollar for movies is less than the marginal utility per dollar for soda. So does this bring her to equilibrium, or to the point that maximize her utility? No, they are not equal. So remember what we're looking for here. We're looking for that combination that will make these two equal. The marginal utility per dollar for these two goods. We want to find that combination. Okay? So let's look at the third point, C. So when you look at this third point here, C, so the marginal utility is 40 divided by 8, that gives you 5. So the marginal utility per dollar for movies is 5. The marginal utility for soda is 20 divided by 4, that gives us marginal utility per dollar for soda 5. So now these two are equal. So that's the point we're looking for. Okay? So this combination of movies and soda will maximize her utility. Remember, this is another way to look at this. So we looked through the table and we find out the point or the combination that will maximize her utility, her total utility. But when we look at the marginal utility per dollar, we're looking at that combination that will make these two equal. The marginal utility for both products, the marginal utility per dollar for both products to be the same. Okay? So let's see what happened here. If you look at point B, at point B, the marginal utility of soda, the marginal utility per dollar for soda is less than the marginal utility per dollar for movies. So that means she needs to buy more movies and less soda. Why? You see, we moved on her budget line, we moved downward. We moved down to C to find equilibrium. That means she's buying less soda and more movies. Does anyone know why? What happened to the marginal utility when you increase your consumption? It goes down, so it decreases. So that's the idea. Okay? So now, if you look at this too, so you want this to be, so the marginal utility of soda here is less. The marginal utility per dollar of soda is less. So I want to increase that. Okay? So then look at the marginal utility. There are two things here. We have the marginal utility and the price. Which one you can change as a consumer? Do you have any control on the price? So you can't change the price. what you can control, what you can decide on is how many units to buy, which is the marginal utility. So as a consumer, I can change the marginal utility by buying more or less, but I can't change the price. Okay? So I want to change this marginal utility because it's less now, so I want to make it more. So I want to increase the marginal utility. That means I should consume less soda. Remember? So the more you consume from soda, the less the marginal utility you will have. This is the principle of diminishing marginal utility. So now we want to do it the other way. So we want, rather than decreasing the marginal utility, we want to increase that marginal utility because it is smaller here. So we want it more. Remember, we don't have any control on the price. So the only decision we have here is to change the marginal utility. So what I want to do here, I want this, because this is smaller, I wanted to make it greater, to make it bigger. So I want to increase the marginal utility. So the way to increase the marginal utility is to consume less from that product. Okay? So that means I should consume less soda. So she should buy less soda. And at the same time, if this is greater, so I want this to be smaller, again, I have no control on the price. I can only change the marginal utility of movies, okay, by watching more movies or less movies. So you can see here, this is greater. So I want this to be smaller. Then I should buy more movies. You should increase movies. If you do this, so you're buying less soda and more movies, this will bring these together to be equal. And that's the point that maximizes her utility, because now we have that combination, which is point C here, that make the marginal utility per dollar for these two products to be the same. Is this clear? Okay. The last thing I'm gonna look at, so now we already discussed this. So let's use this to make some predictions about what will happen to product if the price of movie, for example, so far we didn't assume any change in the price or the income. So let's now think of what if the price of movies fall. So if the price of movies fall, again, you don't have any control on the price, but you have control on how many units you buy from each product. So you can't change the marginal utility, but you can't change the prices. So let me show you this on an example. Just a second. Yeah, it's easier to see this here. So now let's say, remember, the price of movie was £8. Now the price is 4. So the price dropped from 8 to 4. So what we have here is the new combinations, well, the same combinations here or the same quantities like we have from 0 to 10 from movies and soda, and we have also the new the marginal utility and the new marginal utility per dollar. So you see this one is divided now 50 divided by 4. So the marginal utility per dollar now changed. So if you look at the combination we looked at before, it is not the equilibrium point anymore. Remember, the combination we have here is 2 movies and 6 soda. Remember this. Let's look at this. So 2 movies and 6 soda. So let's see what if she buy the same combination, 2 movies and 6 soda. Are they equal now? The marginal utility per dollar, are they equal? No. So she needs to do something, yeah? So that's the idea. So now this type of analysis, as we said, if we assume we can measure utility, it still can help us to understand how do you make choice, and also how you can predict the consumer's behavior if there's change in the price. So now the question is what she should do. So now we want to, now the marginal utility per dollar for movies is greater than the marginal utility per dollar for soda. So what should she do? So yeah. Okay, so if you watch more movies, let's look at here. So if you watch more movies, then this means what happened to the marginal utility per dollar is decreasing. In the same time, she could increase her consumption from this. Okay, so let's just go back now to the main point. The main point is that you can't change price, but you can change the quantity to restore equilibrium again. So where is equilibrium? I'm looking at the point that will make these two equal, the marginal utility per dollar for both products equal. Okay, so where's that point here? Exactly. So what happened here? Now she consumed more movies and less soda, and this will bring us back to equilibrium. Remember, when we talk about the law of demand, when the price of movies falls, what would happen to the quantity demanded? It should increase, yeah? Is this what happened here? Yeah? So when the price falls from $8 to $4, now rather than buying 2 movies, now she buys 6 movies. Does this make sense now? And let's connect this to what we did before as well. Okay?